friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today for my Monday this and that video. And if you are new, these videos are about many different topics, not just what is listed in the title, because the title would be too long if I put it all in there. So please note, you're not going to just get one thing in here. You're going to get all kinds of things. I only do these kind of videos once a week. So because I have a lot to talk about, let's get to the topics of today. And the first thing I'm going to start off with are these wonderful gifts that Stacey from Off Grid with Doug and Stacey sent me the other day. And that is their chocolate tea that they're selling on their store and the tea infuser. And I really like this. I've never seen one set up like that where you plunge it like that, and it being on a stick actually made it quite easy to use. I don't usually make single cups of tea at a time, but since I wanted to try the chocolate tea just myself and also try blending it with my own homegrown peppermint leaves that I have back here, they're always back here because peppermint's one of my very favorite teas. My two favorites are ginger, fresh ginger, and peppermint, each by themselves, but I do like to blend them with other things on occasion. So blending it with the chocolate tea was definitely a good flavor right there. But I will try making some just with the chocolate. I'll probably do that tonight. So doing a single cup at a time, this is definitely nice for that. So I want to thank Stacey for that, but that's not the only thing I got. She also sent me this lovely wall hanging that you can see in this picture right here. And I did get it hung on my wall. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the best place to hang it where you could all see it while I'm shooting video. So it's actually right over here. So here's the picture of where I have it. I love it. It fits in with my kitchen perfectly as well as my theme. And I might eventually rearrange everything, like maybe move the cast iron pieces here over this side and then move that wall hanging over here so you can all see it in every video. But anyway, I love how it blends with my clock just perfectly. It's wonderful. So again, Stacey, thank you for the very thoughtful gifts. Really appreciate it. Doug and Stacey are really wonderful people. If you're not following their channel yet, I'd be surprised. But if you're not, then I'll put a link to their channel in the description box below, and also the link to their store where you can buy the chocolate tea, the infuser, and a bunch of other great stuff that they sell on there. Plus they have a lot of other information. They share some of their videos over there too, and Stacey does actually have some, I think they're ebooks out, recipe books. And no, I don't have one and don't plan on doing one, so don't ask. Okay, anyway, let's move on because there's, like I said, there's a lot to talk about. So years ago, I had made myself these little cloth tea bags for using in the teapots because I could never find an infuser that was big enough to hold the amount of things I wanted to make a full pot of tea. So I just made my own cotton ones and they worked great. But then I got to where I just stopped using them altogether. I just put everything in the pot and brew it. And the pot, since it is a teapot, it does have its own little strainer built in there. It's an old pot from the 1940s from a Navy ship from World War II. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, it strains most of that stuff out anyway, so there's no need for the bag. However, if you saw my video from about 2 weeks ago now where I did about the coffee and how I brew it, I have since started putting the coffee grounds in these tea bags and then cinching them up because they do have a drawstring on them. So I cinch it up, then put the bag inside the stainless steel basket that goes into the percolator, and it's worked perfectly. I no longer have to strain out coffee grounds when I get to the bottom of the coffee. I didn't have to do it from the top. It's just that when you got down to the bottom, because while the coffee was perking, the coffee grounds would come out through some of the holes, the smaller ones, and some would actually kind of boil out of the top of the basket. So a lot of times would still end up with a lot in the bottom, but with this little tea bag, it works perfectly. So I have an old video on how to make these if you're interested. All right, so some other tips, some other things that I was talking about in my previous this and that video, and that was I was showing off the stainless steel pots I got to replace my enamelware. And the only problem with the lids, and this is with any casserole type pan that I get, when it comes to baking in the toaster oven, though I can fit this in the toaster oven, same goes with my enamelware, my glassware. If I put the lid on, unless I invert the lid, which doesn't work if the thing is full, then it wouldn't fit top-wise into the toaster oven. But I realized, I got to thinking about the plates again, so I looked it up just to make sure you can actually put your Corelle dishes into the oven as long as you don't go over 350 degrees, which would be perfect for the types of things I would use this for baking in. And so I can simply put the plate like this, and it fits well, the dinner plate, over this pan, and then baking it that way. So now I know I can do that and not have to fall back on aluminum foil, because I really hate that for several reasons. Health reasons, and because of the waste, because you know, you can only use it a few times and then you got to throw it away. And yes, I've been known to wash and reuse aluminum foil several times. Okay, so more good stuff. I've got right here, I still had yet to do an update on it because I kept forgetting about it. So you remember this last summer when I was growing all that zucchini, I grow lots of zucchini every year. And I decided to finally try doing the pineapple zucchini, and also came up with an idea for black cherry zucchini, working off the same basic recipes that I was coming across. So I did do a video on making these. If you'd like to check it out, I'll put it in the description box down below. I just finally remembered I had them, and I decided to try them in cottage cheese because I love things like pineapple, pears. I know it's not everybody's thing, but I do. I like fruit in cottage cheese. And so I thought, why not try the pineapple or the black cherry zucchini in the cottage cheese? And boy, were those good. I love it. And to top it off, so does Jackson. Not only does he love cottage cheese, he loves these just like this. So I can give him a somewhat healthy snack. And I say somewhat healthy because there is sugar in it, but it's got that zucchini in there too. So he can be eating a vegetable and not even realize it. So he's getting some of those benefits too. So I was really happy with that. And even if that's all I ever use it for, is just snacking on, which by the way, I think tastes good just right out of the jar as is myself. So initially I was thinking I probably won't do this again this next year with the zucchini, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to be doing this again because it does make a tasty treat and something that you can just pull out of there that's a lot cheaper than going out and buying some sweet treat. Which brings me to the next thing I want to bring up, and that is, I'm going to go more into detail on this in probably a separate video, but when the video came out this last week about coconut cream chocolate, which by the way, the written recipe I linked to under that video includes all of my recipes. So it's the basics plus all the recipes. That is free. You don't have to pay for the video recipes. You don't even have to pay for the written recipes, even though I put time into typing all that up. But somebody came in there and it kind of made me sad for them, but it also was a little frustrating that I felt like they were accusing me of trying to rub it in their faces, and they were going on about how, oh, it'd be nice to be able to afford to buy organic stuff to make treats like that. We don't have desserts in our house because, you know, our money has to go towards putting meat and vegetables on the table. And you know what? I get that, and I don't want to belittle that in any way, but it makes me sad that my video that was meant to be helpful was taken in such a negative light. I think some people forget or don't understand is all of that stuff that I had there, other than the new bag of coconut milk powder that I wanted to try out, all of that was stuff from food storage that I had for some time, that I was stocking up even during the toughest times where we weren't sure where our next paycheck was going to come from. And how is it I was able to do that? Well, and this is where the prepping thing comes in handy, and being ahead on various different things. And how you choose to get ahead is going to have to be tailored to you, your family's needs, and what works best for you and what you trust and don't trust. And that goes hand in hand with the video I did on insurance. And a couple people said, oh, I would never pay ahead on electric bills because I don't trust. I get that. But at the time that I got ahead like that, it was a necessary thing for me to do then. I don't believe it's necessary anymore. I'm just in such a habit of paying just a set amount every month that I forget. And I do think of just stop not paying for at least quite a few months to at least get it down to, I think is wise to still be a month or two ahead in case something happens and you either just forget to pay a bill or whatever. The same goes with your food storage. So I've talked in several videos about preparing, and a lot of people look at people who've been preparing for many years and have 1, 2, 3 years worth of food storage and all kinds of different things in their food storage as being really rich and just running out and buying all this stuff. But that is not how it works. So if you're wanting to understand how it actually works for real life people like you and me, I'm going to link to the video I did fairly recently on getting started in preparedness. And all this goes hand in hand, including the stocking up on the cacao butter and cacao powder. These were not my first items on the list to put into my storage. Obviously, we start off with the basics and most important things. And then later, as we were able to free up money from this area because we paid off the house, now we could take that and start adding more flavor and special things to our food storage. So I look at it this way. The one person might look at buying the organic cacao butter and cacao powder and all that kind of stuff to make chocolates as being very expensive. Well, yeah, it can be pretty expensive when you're buying a 2-pound bag of this and a 5-pound bag of that. That's going to last you for a very long time. But when you compare that to the cost of running out and buying a chocolate bar or some other kind of dessert that's already pre-made, you're saving a lot of money and you're making something healthier. And you've got that on hand. It doesn't mean you have to make chocolate every day or every week even. I don't make it that often, maybe once a month tops. So for us, it wasn't like we're so rich that I can afford to just keep buying this stuff and making chocolate all the time. That's not what we do. This is food storage item. These are things that we put away. So if down the road we have no money and we have to live off our food stores, at least I know we've got all kinds of things to help prevent food fatigue. And chocolate in its true form is actually quite healthy. When I share recipes, they're meant to help people and give people ideas of things that they can do for themselves that will be a healthier version that can also save money. If you're already putting this stuff up, then it's there for you. You've saved money and now you have it for those special times when you want to make a treat for your family, even during the hardest times of your life. Patrick and I have been on a financial roller coaster all through our marriage, and I know all growing up it was the same way. We went through times of plenty and times where we had to do all the shopping at the Goodwill for clothes for me when I grew out of the last year's clothes. And then we had times that we were doing better and then times that we were doing worse again. And when I got married, it was no different. We were not making very much money when we first got married. And then things got better. Lord really blessed us, and then he took us through some hard times. And every situation that you go through, good or bad, they should be used as learning experiences. In fact, I find we learn the most when times are toughest. We learn what we can live without. But we also learn that when there's more money freed up again at some point, whether it be we got more coming in or we were able to get out of debt or whatever, now we've got a better idea of other investments that we want to make to prepare us for the next hard time that comes, because I expect it to be this way for the rest of our lives, the ups and the downs. That's just the way it is, and especially the downs. So we're doing all we can, and getting out of debt might surprise you. Once you start down that road of getting yourselves debt free, it is amazing what will happen. You'll find out what you can live without in order to get that debt paid off. And once that debt's paid off, then you've now freed up some money that you can start putting more into your different investments, be it food, be it silver and gold, be it tools for particular kinds of jobs that you'll want to do to help make you some money or to help you get stuff done around your own homestead. Okay, well anyway, I plan on shooting another video going more into detail about that. So I want to finish the other topics for today, and another one, and this kind of flows right into that, is the one about the whole milk powder I keep talking about. I realized that when I was doing my figurines before, I had forgotten that it was based on the box milk that you can get, that some people can get in the dollar store and pay half what I've had to pay. We pay $2 a box for that. So per gallon, that costs me the same as it does to go down and buy a gallon of organic whole milk. But that milk isn't organic, but I keep it on hand as an emergency food store that I'll occasionally work through. That is also the purpose of the powdered milk. So I did a little comparisons and found that if you get in this one, you get the 4.4 pound bag, it is actually a lot cheaper per ounce than the Hoosier Hill Farm if you're only buying a pound of theirs. Now they have where you can buy 5 pounds and they come out to be the same price as this does through Subscribe and Save though. That's where the difference is. So I'll go into more detail about that. And it's actually cheaper than the Judy's, even though this one is organic and Judy's is not organic. So it just depends on the size you're buying, the brand you're buying, and the cheapest ones out there are also the junk ones. The ones like certain brands that strip all the fat out and then put a bunch of junk back in there, unhealthy stuff. That's the stuff you should be avoiding. Yes, it's a lot cheaper, but it's also full of stuff that you shouldn't, that's not good for your health. So yes, the price did, when I did the figuring, even for the biggest one, came out to $14 per gallon once it's all mixed up. And that is a lot of money for a gallon of milk. And people are just going, oh my goodness. But that's going to apply to any of your wholesome powdered milks. The whole milks, the ones that don't have a bunch of junk added to them, whether they're organic or not. So like I said, this one, the organic one, actually came out cheaper per ounce than the rest of them that I was comparing that I bought. Especially the most expensive one is the Meyerberg powdered goat milk, which I'm sure you can assume why, because goat milk is more expensive when you're buying it fresh than cow milk anyway. It's usually around here, it costs twice as much. But like I said, I'm going to go into more details as to, in a separate video, as to why I still think it's very important to stock up on milk. And that is, let's come around to the cream cheese powder and why I'm upping my game on this. And that is, I've heard several times in the past month about the cream cheese shortage. In fact, my daughter-in-law was the one that told me that some place, I don't remember who or what company it was actually paying people to not make a cream cheese dish for Christmas dinner because of the cream cheese shortage. That same shortage can and very will likely apply to milk. Would you rather have no milk at all if you rely on dairy and you don't have dairy animals, obviously? Or would you rather have something in your food storage even if it cost you $14 a gallon to make it up? So that's what I'm looking at. And here's the other things that some people forget when they're considering the cost. What does it cost you in time and fuel to go into the store and buy the fresh milk? For us, the best price on organic whole milk is at the Costco 75 miles from us. And at this point, they're still not delivering the fresh milk to our area. We can now get cheese and other types of cold and frozen things, but we cannot get the milk. It is still cheaper than the powdered milk in our local store, but my time also is worth money, especially with how busy I am right now. And I personally hate going to the store. As I said, for me, time is money. If it saves you to go buy in the store and buy fresh milk, great. But what are you going to do when there's no milk on those shelves because of whatever reason? Maybe a blizzard blocks off the road on either side, like's happened to us before, and so the trucks can't get through. Maybe all the truckers go on strike because of certain mandates. The list goes on and on of the things that could happen, and if you end up with bare shelves, you could be without milk for days, weeks, or months. So wouldn't you rather have $14 a gallon powdered milk on hand as to having none at all? If you're vegan or you're dairy free, pick something else. Pick something else that applies to you and your situation. I only brought this up because several people had mentioned the cost of making it. Where I look at such things, I'm looking at the overall cost. I'm looking at the investment of having this. Because let me tell you something, when those shelves go bare, there's going to be people that would be happy to pay $14 for a gallon of milk if there's no milk to be had. And again, that can apply to anything, be it vegetables, fruits, meats. Okay, so I got a couple more little things I wanted to cover before I close out this video, and one is freezing whole garlic. So even though we do grow garlic, I tend to use the garlic greens from our fresh garlic more than I do the garlic cloves themselves. I actually like to get them from Costco because it's such a good deal, and now those are one of the things we can actually get shipped to us from Costco.com. And what I found is I used to always ferment that garlic, and though I like it and it is a good way to preserve it, the thing I never liked about fermenting the garlic is that it really makes the garlic flavor far more mild, and I prefer a more strong garlic flavor than that. And it is a good healthy way to preserve it, but when I'm cooking with it, it's not my favorite thing to use. So what I found, and I don't know why I didn't try this before, is I just toss the garlic in the freezer, and oh my goodness, it's perfect. When you pull it out, even if you take it straight from the freezer, you can actually slice it pretty simply. If you just give it like a minute to thaw, it slices very easily. It just slices right up. And so what I did was I went ahead and ordered 2 bags on my last Costco.com cold and frozen order. And by the way, if you're curious how that works, I'll put the video I did on that in the description box down below, because Costco has various different levels where you can order from, especially if you're like us and you live 75 miles away or more from the closest Costco. So anyway, I use the silicone bags that I get from Cocoa Stripes that I always have a link to in the description box down below. Magda's a great lady, US based business, and so she offers some really good products on her store, and the silicone bags are one of my favorite things from her, and those little silicone covers that I just recently have had a video come out on. I think you just saw it on Friday. But anyway, I just froze the garlic in those just like I did with the ginger. So I do the same thing. I stock up on that organic ginger, break it up into smaller enough pieces that it doesn't take up so much room in the bag, put the little bar on there and freeze it, and it's so easy to work with. So it was because of the ginger that made me think to try it with the garlic finally after all these years. So now my new favorite way to preserve garlic. And then one more thing before I close out the video is I was making orange peel vinegar, and then that's what I started out with, which I've made many orange peel vinegars over the years. But I changed my mind and put the cap on it. I'm still letting it ferment, but I decided instead of letting it turn to vinegar, I'm going to let it ferment for a few more days and just become a good, healthy, fermented orange peel drink that I can take for the sake of the quercetin and the vitamin C. Now I might not get as much lycopene from it because you have to cook those things down. Same thing goes with tomatoes. To get lycopene out of those things, you got to cook them down really good, and that releases more of the lycopene. But in this case, I'm not losing the vitamin C because I'm not heating this. And these were dried naturally without any kind of electric heat, just naturally close to the wood stove, not on the wood stove. So they take a couple days to dry when I do it that way. So I think this is going to be really good. So I'm just wanting it to continue working through some more of the sugars that I put in there, but I want to stop it before it turns to wine because I don't want it to be alcoholic. I want it to be something where I can take maybe a shot of it every day for the benefits that it has in it. So that's what I'm doing with that. And if I like it, I'll give you an update, and then I'll probably keep doing that because now that we're getting all that citrus fruit, I'm going to be doing that with the grapefruit, the lemon, and the orange peels. And yes, the grapefruit will make it somewhat bitter, but I'm finding I don't even mind the grapefruit peel decoction that I made. It is bitter, but without any sugar in it, any honey at all. I'm finding I really don't mind it. I thought I would think it was really gross. Any thoughts or ideas, things you want to share, go ahead, or questions you have, go ahead and put them in comments down below. And don't forget to check out the videos and other information I'll be putting in the description box down below by clicking on either show more right down here below my channel name in all caps. That's if you're on a computer, but if you're on a smart device, then it'll be in the form of a little gray arrow on this corner over here. If you just touch that, it'll open up that description box so you can see all our links and information. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.